Hello world, from whichever time zone you're catching me from, my name is MD90. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notification to all so that you do not miss the uploads that come up. And the easiest way for you to navigate the channel is to head to the playlist. You'll find videos curated for you based on your interest. So if you're interested in the Kutika podcast, you'll find a playlist for that. For news and trends, there's a playlist for that. Exclusive with MD90, a bunch of playlists that are created based on your interest. So the easiest way to navigate the channel is head straight to the playlist and you'll find what you're here for. Consider becoming a member of the channel. Right next to the subscribe button is a join button. You click on the join button so that you can become a member of the channel. You support the team on the production and a number of things that we're doing here, and we appreciate that. So another MP has been suspended from Parliament for 30 days. You may remember that JJ Banda of Petauke was suspended a couple of days ago or so for his live stream that he did, where he had alleged that Parliament was making laws to pass certain bills that favored the UPND. And he failed to prove the evidence of that live stream, and he was suspended for bringing Parliament into disrepute. But the recent one, which just happened, is of this lady that you see with former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu in picture here. If you remember, a couple of days ago, she had trended because she called out President Hakainde Hichilema the time he was in Parliament, addressing the nation. She called him a liar. The president, Hakainde Hichilema, then walked up to her, had a conversation with her, but someone later on submitted to Parliament to say she was out of order, and eventually the judgment came out yesterday before this holiday today, where she's been suspended for 30 days. So this is the story that had broken a couple of days ago, where she screamed in Parliament. Her name is Jean Chisenga. She's a member of Parliament for Mambirima. So she's out of Parliament for the next 30 days. So right after the news broke to say she's been suspended, Harry Kalaba of Citizens First, he said, we stand with the Mambirima lawmaker by making a contribution of 5,000 kwacha towards her salary for the period of suspension. So Harika says they are going to pay her during a suspension. So there have been other formats where mostly it's presidents from the Unka Alliance or Uka Alliance. I make that error most of the time where I say Unka or Ukwa, but it's Uka, like wake up. Uka Alliance making public donations. So aside from the 5,000 kwacha that Harika was said they are going to contribute towards her, also Sawoi Mboela stated to say the alliance itself is going to contribute another 5,000, which makes it 10,000 contribution from the alliance. Then they've opened up a platform where they're raising money towards a payment where the public can donate towards that, so that it can amount to the amount of money that should make in a month if she was in Parliament. So that's the state of affairs. They're coming through for the lady to say, in short, endorsing the statement that she had made. Then Munia Zulu also put up a post just right after the suspension was put out, because members of Parliament from the Patriotic Front and also some members, independent members of Parliament, walked out of Parliament immediately after the suspension was handed to the lady in solidarity. So they walked out of Parliament in disagreement. Then he put up this post. This is Munia Zulu, member of Parliament for Lumezi constituency. He says suspension of members of Parliament and the shrinking of democratic space in Zambia. The current government of the United Party for National Development, UPND, is always quick to justify why members of Parliament should be suspended because during their time in opposition, Speaker Matibin had suspended the 48 members of Parliament for 30 days. So they use that as their justification for suspending members of Parliament in the current state of affairs where they're in Parliament. The comparison is extremely dull, he says. This is Miyazu. It's extremely dull and cheap thinking. In 10 years, they keep complaining of the 30 days suspension they were handed when we have gone, when they have gone on rampage, suspending members of parliament for over 90 days within a 2-year period. Have been suspended for more than 90 days because this is the second suspension she's participating in. Earlier on, you must remember all the PF members of parliament and some independents were suspended. I'm not sure if it was 90 days, but for a long period of time, it should have been 3 months or less thereabouts. So that's what he's referring to, that 90 days. And you claim to be a democratic society, he asks. Let's look at tolerance levels for argument's sake. How does one genuinely think Jean, meaning the lady that has been currently suspended, Jean Chisenga, can behave the same way with those that have been in parliament or members of the house for 20 years? Meaning, if she overstepped, that was supposed to be taken into consideration. That's his argument there. How do you think? What do you think a life experience is like? Can you equate it to the speaker or indeed the president? Surely, at her age, she's in her 30s, and also his Miyazu, they are in their 30s. So he says, surely, at her age, she has made it in life. And you think you can ask those that are above 60 years old of age now what they did with their life in their 30s. In Sonia Ubuntu, he says. Jean, as a complainant, he also says they also reported to the NGOCC, and he keeps on saying he should speak. The NGOCC should stand with the lady. Anyway, time will tell. I remain Munia Zulu. So his argument there is saying she's a young lady and she's supposed to be probably forgiven or tolerated in that nature because she's in her 30s, and so is he. They are young people, or the youngest members of parliament. So right after the suspension, so this was posted a couple of minutes ago. This is today. They printed out the statement that she had uttered to the president. The lady that you see in picture with a black cap, that's Jean Chisenga. And then the man on the right, that's Munia Zulu, member of parliament for Lumezi. So they printed out the statements that she had uttered towards the president, which is Ubufi Bwachiramu. So if you see on her shirt where she's put up an emoji of a lying emoji there with a nose of Pinocchio. And then within the t-shirts, they say Bulaveja, meaning that's a Tonga phrase to say you're lying. And then they also interpret the same phrase into Bemba to say Ubufi Bwachiramu. And you lie too much. So you see, pretty much doubling down on their statement. What is Mia Zulu on the back end of the same t-shirt? He says leaders must be held accountable. So they are doubling down as she goes on a suspension. So this was posted just a couple of minutes ago on the platform. So Guy and Combo went on, because if you remember, they had walked out of parliament in solidarity with Jean Chisenga, the PF members of parliament. So when they walked out of parliament, Gary Nkombo had this to say they had walked out before lunchtime. So Gary says, Gary Nkombo takes issue with PF members of parliament showing up for lunch. Local government minister Gary Nkombo has complained that while the 42 PF members of parliament stayed away from the house sitting, they showed up for when the house adjourned. So he says when they had walked out of parliament, instead of going home or wherever, they came back for lunch in the cafeteria or wherever they eat from the members of parliament there. He says, how come if you walk out of parliament, you're supposed to go home? Why show up for lunch? So that was his complaint here to say, is it in order for members of parliament to not sit for parliamentary business, then walk back just at lunchtime to have lunch at parliament? So yeah, that's the point of what they address Gary Nkombo. Say, yo, if you walk out of parliament, go home. Don't come back and eat lunch here. Yeah, politics. In other news, so shout at a liar. Shout at a liar. Probably it's the same. Yeah, it is the same lady. The belief that the politicians can make false promises and get away must come to an end. Also, Changara, this is a different individual simply saying the lady was right in this case if she points out to say President Hakainde must not fulfill his promises. She's not lying, according to Changala. So that's Mnyazulu with Jean Chisenga, the member of parliament that has been suspended for a couple of days. Probably this should have been a parliament right after the time she walked out. While his Fred member has also issued an article in regard to the same. So it's a long article. I'm just going to give you a synopsis of what he's talking about here. So just at the end, the last two paragraphs in the article that he had written, Fred member says, the UPND in opposition were never sensed themselves, but they were tolerated, they were understood, and only disciplined in extreme circumstances. What has changed now, he asks. What is so special about Mr. Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND? Let the right or freedom of speech and tolerance reign supreme in Parliament. Our Parliament must symbolize a culture of democracy without hindrance. We call upon the Speaker to ensure our parliamentary democracy is nurtured and strengthened by guaranteeing impartial, dignified, orderly, and transparent ruling in parliamentary business. We know this is not too much to ask for. It can end, it can and should be done, Fred Membe. So Fred Membe says, the UPND were tolerated. How come they can not able to tolerate the divergent opinions? So I'll put up this article by Fred Membe on the post, what you see with the other stuff that he had written with regard to the same. While this Edgar Chagwa took time to visit, there's another member of parliament that was involved in an accident, the PF member of parliament that was involved in an accident, and he has been in hospital. I think it should be like a year now. So he came back, and that's the individual they visited. So with his caption, this was posted on the Patriotic Front page. Edgar Chagwa has taken time to on this Good Friday to visit Malole, member of parliament, Robert Kalimani, and he was accompanied by members of parliament and the PF members of the Central Committee. So those are some of the images where they're visiting that individual, because there's been allegations to say the UPND want to a by-election in his constituency, where the members of his constituency have been asked to petition Parliament to say they are not represented in Parliament. He has been absent for a year or more due to his illness. So I do not know how the ruling will come out from that. We'll wait and see. So that's Jean Chisenga with Edgar Chagwa, where they're having a light moment. That's the news, ladies and gentlemen. I live the high life because I'm heavily minded. Hold up, I'm a 90s baby. So really, you made me walk up to you and you don't subscribe to the channel? Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like the video and share it with someone. I know you will.